The Know Your Gear podcast.
The gear YouTube dying videos. So apparently, if you haven't seen, there's a bunch of YouTube channels that have made a bunch of videos about how gear, I call it GearTube. GearTube is dying. And, what do I think about that? And, I personally, since no one was asking me about it, I was like, I'm not going to talk about it because I don't really think it's productive. However, it definitely ties into this discussion because, when I hear stuff like that, I, like you guys, I think about it. I've said this before, I'm on the wrong side of the fence for you guys. So me telling you about YouTube being good or bad is like asking a guitar manufacturer, what do you think of the state of the industry right now? And they're like, it's great. Everybody's buying guitars. You should too. So of course I'm going to be like, YouTube's great. Everybody's watching YouTube and everybody loves it. However, I think I have a different take. So maybe the take, and it ties into this ESP LTD question that I just got asked. So I want to share something with you because I was looking at that because I have an interesting, my channel is definitely, when I say unique, I don't mean that it's uniquely different than the other channels in the content that I do. It's unique in the way that it works. And what I mean by that is I don't have a whole lot of peaks and valleys. So here's what I can tell you. In 2017, I don't remember the month, but you can actually go on you can find my stats. All my stuff is public. I can't stop it, just like every other influencer channel can't stop their stuff from being public. The very first month, which I think was in 2017, some month, I hit 1 million views for the month. I've hit 1 million views for the month every month since, except for 1 month where I got 900 and something thousand views. It was the only month. So look at that. So 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. In almost 8 years, I have hit 1 million views every single month or more, but a minimum 1 million views a month, except for 1 month. And that's the month I got COVID because I just didn't make content that month. I don't know why. Anyways, so consistent, right? I don't have a whole lot of peaks of value. I don't have it. So, if you look at my stats, I don't have a month where I didn't go below 1 million except for that one. And I don't have a month where I hit 3 million. I don't have that either. I think I only have 1 month that ever hit 2 million. And that I think was in December of 2017 for all the wrong reasons, right? If that makes any sense. But anyways, so I stay consistent is what I want to say. And I really applaud you for that. I think the sense of community helps that. However, what I want to share with you guys that helps you, because I don't want to sit here and tell you guys about the YouTuber side. It doesn't matter to you. It doesn't matter what the algorithm's doing. It doesn't matter any of that stuff. What does matter to a guitar community, to you, because it matters to me, is this. So I was looking at some stats. And I thought, instead of giving you some emotional opinions about the state of YouTube, other than things I've said in the past, which is, 5 years ago, I didn't have to compete with the news on YouTube. So now I compete with the news, which is tough, right? And I have to compete with like kitty videos, like pretty kittens, and then shark attack videos, and then whatever horrible, scary thing the news can scare you with, right? And so that's why clickbait titles came about, because without some kind of sensationalized title, you are not going to make somebody jump on it right away. But I want to share with you this. If I look at I want to share this with you. This is in the last, all this stuff is going to be within the last 60 days because it worked out perfect. In the last 60 days, I've done 4 sponsored content videos, and I've done 4 independent videos. And I'm going to click on the data right now so I can share with you. And my 4 sponsored videos, according to this, my 4 unsponsored. So these are the independent videos. These are the videos that I basically paid out of pocket to do. My 4 independent videos have 556,100 views, 500,000 views. In the last 2 months, I've done 500,000 views across 4 videos independently. That means with no corporate sponsors, no outside, no loans of any equipment. I did that independent. We did that here. You guys did that. We did it together. Patrons did that. Channel members did that. Subscribers did that. We did that. I have an estimated, because I keep track of everything, an estimated loss of $310.34. That means after I paid, not myself, just for the equipment that I've also sold now, except for one thing, and I'll get to that in a second. I have lost $310.34. That means I made 4 videos that got 500,000 views, and I've lost $310. So I average about 2 to 2.5 days per video. So let's say 2 days. So we're going to say that's 8 days work, which is a work week. So solid work week. I worked for a solid week and I lost $310. Now, here's the thing I need to point out. I haven't lost the $310 yet. This is the depressing part. I will lose the $310 when I finally sell the last guitar of those 4 guitars. What I mean by that is I have to sell that guitar. I'm hoping to net about $500 from that guitar sale. And when I do that, then I'll be out $310.34. Okay, now this isn't woe is me. This is to explain the difference in what you're seeing out there. Now, my 4 sponsored videos, how did those go? Well, those 4 sponsored videos have 200 and I got to get back to the screen so I can tell you exact numbers. I apologize. Those 4 sponsored videos have a total of 204,800 views. So less than half. I got less than half the views in the same 2 months on those videos. Now, what did I make on those videos? I'm not going to tell you, but I will help you understand. If I made $0, I'm ahead $310.34. So let's start there. Let's just start there, okay? And by the way, when I say lost $310, I want you to understand that's after YouTube paid me, after all the stuff that happens, after I pay myself costs. So now, that was a really interesting snapshot I took on the channel. If I take other snaps on the channel, I could find other scenarios that are like it. I've even found ones where I've lost even more and made even more on the sponsored content. Brian says I made 17 million. No, I would say I'll give you a guesstimate because right, it's just a guess. That I want to say it's probably somewhere around $700, $680, $700 per video is what I made, like net and done. So let's just keep it easy. And that's the reason why I don't want to tell you is not so much I don't want to tell you because one, I don't like to talk about that particular side. That's my personal business. But also when you do sponsored content, it's not the same. So if I said I got, like if I told you I made $10,000 on 4 sponsored videos, you'd be like, that's insane. I'm like, yeah, but then the last 4 I made $300. Like it's all over the place. By the way, it's never been $10,000 for 3 videos. No, I love it. Please don't depress me guys with these $10,000 and all these high things. No, it's more like $3,000. Right? It's like $700 a video. So what's that? So $2,700, $2,800, something like that, maybe. Okay, so the important part is this, is that when I watched a lot of these channels talk about this, and I watch a lot of people pontificate what's happening on GuitarTube out there, GearTube, I want you to understand there is the incentive that I have to make content that is not sponsored. So the reason I brought it up with this particular question was, you noticed I don't talk about ESP LTD a lot. But the important part is this. I bought an ESP guitar. I bought 2 LTD guitars and I posted them on this channel. I buy Gibson guitars. I post them on this channel. I buy Epiphone guitars. I post them on this channel. I buy Fender guitars. I post them on this channel. I buy Squier guitars. I post them on this channel. And then what I do, which I have a lot of moral struggle with, is I take companies like Kiesel, who doesn't pay me, but they'll send me a guitar. PRS, who doesn't pay me, but they'll send me a guitar. Other companies who will pay to sponsor videos. I take the money that they gave me and I buy their competitors' guitars and show them to you on this channel. So in essence, I have to wrestle with the fact that mentally I'm always taking the companies who love and support what I do, or at least willing to work with me. I take their money and I fund their competitors because, I'll tell you why. Because one, I think the deep dives won't work if there isn't a broad scope of instruments that I go across. Why this week did I do a Silvertone from 1960s? Because I thought, wow, how do you have a reference to whether or not a Firefly is any good or not if the only thing you compare it to is, an expensive guitar or another guitar like it on the market? What about comparing it to a guitar? What was an inexpensive guitar like the PVT 15? What was an inexpensive guitar like in the 80s? What was it like in the 60s? What was it like in the 90s? Is things getting better? Are things getting worse? It's comparative. It's not an opinion anymore. It's not my opinion. It's just, You guys can see how all guitars come across the same system, the system being me, which is taking, measuring, rubbing a sock on it, whatever the hell that is. At least you can watch these videos with a reference to say, hey, look, when he did IKEA caster, that's how that performed. And when he did a Parker or a crazy expensive PRS artist guitar like the Herman Lee, you have a comparative to look at, and then maybe you can make some decisions from that. And that's why I find it was valuable. But there's also a part of me that believes, I do believe this. I believe that there was a time when people made movies, and I know it's going to sound weird, and the stories were always the same. When you see a great movie, okay? I'm going to say Jaws, for those that said Jaws was good last time I was talking about Jaws. When you see a great movie like Jaws, there's a story behind it that always seems to be really consistent. The consistent story is, we were over budget. They wanted us to stop. It was time to quit. And we said, I'll give up my pay because I'll just take the back end. And then they become super rich because the movie became super huge. And now when I see movies that are not so great, it's always the same story. Oh, they had a $20 million advance to the person who made the movie, and the other person got $10 million advance. And I'm like, yeah, we paid out all this money up front, and then they didn't make you a great movie. And so I kind of think with the YouTube channel, maybe it's the same way. Maybe if I keep investing into the channel, right? New equipment, new cameras, new everything. Keep investing more guitars that are different than just. Otherwise, look, guys, I get it. It could be Kiesel week almost every week. Kiesel would gladly send me a guitar every week. So would a lot of companies that just they get along with me. But I just know that gets exhausting, right? I mean, it's exhausting for everybody, right? And then this is the important part to end with on this subject, because there's going to be an argument. It's going to come in this comments in any second now if I haven't already seen it. Yeah, but if you don't do that, they won't watch. Well, if you're paying attention out there, my average views on a video is 100,000 views per video. That's my average. If you take videos and divide them up, that's what I average. It's almost, doesn't mean every video I get gets 100,000 views. The last video I just did, it got 50,000 views. But it's an average. I don't need that. I only need about 10,000 views to get paid by a sponsor to make video content. So I could lose 90% of my views and still be valuable to a company, because I don't think you guys understand the GearTube world, which is sponsored content pays way more than independent content, to the point of a factor of 10. And that doesn't even make sense what I just said, because I just explained to you I was negative on independent content. So 10 times negative is still negative. I mean, I'm implying if I made $310, I made 10 times more if I did sponsored. And also, I don't need as many views, right, to do it, which is a lot easier, to deal with. But the other thing is that you can see, I think that's what hurts the GearTube, is that it's too easy to take the low-hanging fruit, which is the paid content every time. And I don't mean to disparage anybody who's doing, like I said, demo videos and all this stuff, paid content videos. Look, it's really hard to get 100,000 views. It's not, there's no, it's a 7-day-a-week job to try to figure out how to get content to move all the time. But I just wanted you guys to see it from my perspective, but not so much as lecturing you guys on it, but more explaining that this is what you see. I see it every time I go into my content. I can see whenever I see low performing videos, I go, oh yeah, that was a sponsored video. The sponsored videos get the least amount of views because it feels more like a commercial. When it was, I don't mean when a company agrees to work with me on an idea I have. I'm talking about when they send you here's the new pedal that does a thing, and we show it, and it's like, oh, it feels like a commercial. Well, right, because I wouldn't have made it if they didn't send it, and you wouldn't have watched it if you weren't somewhat interested in what maybe my content. However, the thing that everybody misses is this. And this is the secret sauce. The conversion rates decline when the views get high. So if you think that if I get 10,000 views, or any channel, and they sell 100 pedals, and when they get 100,000, they're going to sell 1,000 pedals, you're absolutely wrong. I can tell you right now from experience, I guarantee this. I can even probably back it up with numbers if you wanted, but I'm not going to do that today because I feel like this subject's too long. if a YouTuber gets 10,000 views and sells 100 pedals and I get 100,000 views, or any channel gets 100,000 views, most likely they might sell 200 pedals. Maybe. And that's really not, I don't even believe that. I believe it's more like 150. The truth is, the most extreme guitar buyers watch the content the most, which is what I do all the time. I just bought a tool watching another YouTube channel a week ago. So what I'm trying to say is the companies don't really need big views, and therefore the YouTubers don't really need big views. There's no money in big views. So what people I think confuse is a lot of it is like, hey, they're not getting views like they used to on a channel. That's true, but also I'm like, they're also better business people than they were 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and they know what works now. Same thing if they're selling any kind of lesson programs or anything like that, the conversion is much better at lower views than it is at higher views. It's just a smart way to do business. And so it's just a business. So I'd almost say there is some channels that are not doing as well. That happens. That's everywhere. And there are some channels who are probably choosing not to do as well because it makes more sense to maybe take more sponsored content and do less independent. Makes more sense to focus on the sales aspect conversion versus the view conversion. Because like I said, no views that I've ever got has paid anything close to what sales can convert to. So that's my take on it, but also why, when I liked how it connected to the Ys and their ESPs. But there is, and I try, by the way, and every time you guys bring that up, I bring in more guitars. So, I just pulled in some guitars. I just bought some guitars literally that have not been on the channel in a long time or at all. So if you like this clip and you'd like to watch another one, you can click right here. And if you want to see the entire episode of the podcast, you can click right there. As always, thank you for your time and know your gear.